Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our Hill Prizes information session for Texas companies and entrepreneurs. This session will cover the Hill Prize in Commercialization, Innovation, and Technology, as well as the Hill Prize in Artificial Intelligence. The information session for the academic prizes was held this morning. Slides and recordings from both sessions will be sent out to all registrants. My name is Stephanie Shaw, and I am the Program Director of TAMIS, the Texas Academy of Medicine, Engineering, Science, and Technology. We really appreciate the time and effort spent preparing your applications for the Hill Prizes, and we hope that this session provides some clarity as you work on those applications. With us today is Chair of the Hill Prizes Committee, Dr. David Daniel. Dr. Daniel is past president of TAMIS, president emeritus of the University of Texas at Dallas, and a member of the National Academy of Engineering. We also have with us Chair of the Commercialization, Innovation, and Technology Subcommittee, Dr. Linda Chin. Dr. Chin is co-founder and Chief Executive Officer of Apricity Health and a member of the National Academy of Medicine. You can add questions to the Q&A box during the session, and we will also answer them during the end. A bit about TAMIS. We are a statewide society that bring together the state's brightest minds in medicine, engineering, science, and technology to foster collaboration and to advance research, innovation, and business in Texas. Our vision is to make Texas a premier destination for innovation and world-class research, grow our economy, and improve the lives of our citizens. We were founded in 2004 by our honorary chair, Senator Kay Bailey Hutchison, and Nobel laureates Michael Brown and Richard Smalley. TAMIS is composed of more than 360 Texas-based members of the three national academies, the National Academy of Medicine, National Academy of Engineering, and the National Academy of Sciences, as well as the other honorary societies and the state's 8 Nobel laureates. Over 60 of our members come from Texas companies. We partner with Lyda Hill Philanthropies, the funder of the Hill Prizes. Lyda Hill Philanthropies encompasses the charitable giving for founder Lyda Hill and includes her foundation and personal philanthropy. Her organization is committed to funding transformational advances in science and nature, empowering nonprofit organizations, and improving the Texas and Colorado communities. With that, I will pass it to Dr. Daniel to tell you more about the Hill Prizes.
Well, thank you, Stephanie. So the objectives of the several Hill Prizes are to recognize and advance top Texas innovators and researchers whose high-risk, high-reward ideas could have a significant impact on science and society. And among all those words, I think significant impact on science and society are the most important ones for you to keep in mind. And in terms of what we're really looking for, the single most important word is impact. So as you ponder whether or not to submit an application, just think about the significance of the impact should your work be successful. And if you envision high impact, this award may very well be worth your time to apply for. The Hill Prize in Commercialization, Innovation, and Technology aims to expand commercialization of new technologies, accelerate paradigm-shifting science, and position Texas as a premier destination for world-class innovation. This particular award is available only for entities in the private sector. Universities and health science centers have other awards for which they can apply. The fund really is, the award in commercialization is really intended to bridge the gap between early stage research and full-scale business development. We hope to bring transformative discoveries and move them through that pipeline at an accelerated pace as a result of the award. Next one, please. Companies may also apply for one of the other Hill Prizes, which is the Hill Prize in Artificial Intelligence. This prize recognizes bold ideas and innovations in AI and related technologies, both foundational science and commercial applications across disciplines. And I should emphasize that this is not about taking existing AI platforms and applying them to a particular issue, but rather the AI prize is about advancing with novel ideas to expand what AI can actually do. And Stephanie will tell you more about that regarding the application. The AI prize is also available to academia, government, medical enterprises, and others. Next one. So why should you apply and what do you get? The winner receives, or I should say the winner's organization, not the individual, but the company, receives $500,000 in direct, non-dilutive capital from Lyda Hill Philanthropies. And essentially what we have here is this premier scientific engineering and medical technology organization, TAMIST, partnering with Lyda Hill Philanthropies. Lyda Hill Philanthropies provides the money, and TAMIS determines who the winners are for those prizes. There's no equity taken. It's a gift, really, and the company retains full intellectual property rights. Applications are reviewed by National Academy members, Texas TAMIS members, in other words. We will down select to 3 finalists, or at most 3 finalists, I should say. And when Dr. Chin's subcommittee does that, the 3 finalists are then sent out for review by National Academies members outside the state of Texas so that we get an external to Texas input to the selection subcommittee before they make their recommendation. After that, validation and endorsement by the Nobel and Breakthrough Prize committee members from Texas occurs. Approval by the board of directors occurs. And after the award is announced publicly, of course, TAMIS will want to do everything we can through our network and marketing to let the world know about the great work being done by the winner and use our marketing, if you will, to try to help you. I should mention that in the unlikely event that the subcommittee does not determine that any of the applications are deserving of the award, we do preserve the right to make no awards. But that's never happened before, and I certainly don't expect it to happen here. I should mention that I said before there are typically 3 finalists, and the 2 that do not win the prize are still always very strong applications. Lyda Hill Philanthropies has agreed to provide funding to selected runners-up, if you will. This past year, for example, they made 11 awards of $100,000 each. So there's some substantial help for even those entities that are very, very strong but don't win the prize. Next one, please. So who may apply? It's open to essentially any size company, small, medium, or large. I don't think we've had many applications from really large, multi-billion international companies. I don't think the $500,000 prize is impactful enough to them, and they may prefer to keep their strong ideas confidential anyway. So this is really targeted toward relatively small to medium companies for whom $500,000 could really help them a lot to move along their idea. The award is open to all Texas-based applicants in the private sector. The project leader must be at least 15 years into their first full-time professional position. In other words, back calculating, that means they needed to have started in their first full-time professional position in 2011. That may seem a little strange. Why 15 plus years? And the reason is that we have another major award called the O'Donnell Award that TAMIS gives, and it's available to people up to 15 years into their career, and we did not want this award to overlap with that other one. So that's the reason for that. I'll have more to say if you're interested but happen to be less than 15 years into your career in a moment. In addition, the lead must have been working in Texas for at least 2 years at the time of application. It need not have been for the same company. It could have been for a different company or a different organization, but we need at least 2 years in Texas. I should emphasize that these requirements are only for the project lead, not for anyone else beyond the project lead. So one option, if you're under 15 years into your career, would be to consider finding someone else, perhaps to become the lead of the project who does meet that qualification. That might provide a great opportunity for mentoring and for collaboration. I should mention, though, that the project leader must really be the project leader. You can't just pick someone and have them be, the project leader in name only. The award in commercialization, innovation, and technology really is unrestricted in terms of what sort of particular sub area of that broad field would be eligible. It could be applied sciences, biotechnology, engineering, life sciences, and medicine would typically be one of the areas in which they would fall. In terms of artificial intelligence, the key is that there must be substantive, novel, impactful advancement in AI capabilities in order to address an important change. So one, as I said earlier, can't put in a proposal to use AI, let's say for an engineering problem or something else. In fact, you could perhaps apply for the Commercialization, Innovation, and Technology Award, in which you might utilize AI in some way, because so many projects these days do utilize artificial intelligence. Next one. We do encourage team submissions. We don't require them, but we certainly encourage team submissions. What does that mean? It means if you're the private company applying, you may subcontract out to essentially anyone you want to, another company, a university, multiple universities, an individual consultant, whatever sort of team you wish to put together, that's really up to you. The team leader has to meet all eligibility requirements, but the other supporting cast members do not need to meet those same requirements. The other entities that might be involved in the project could be in Texas, or you're certainly welcome to bring on other individuals, companies, institutions outside Texas, or even outside the US, if those are really uniquely well-qualified entities that would greatly strengthen your application. So from the point of view of the review committee, what we really want to see is whether the team makes sense. Have you put together more than one entity as part of the team that really has a series of key roles that logically help drive a successful project to high impact? And I think that's my last one, isn't it, Stephanie? Is that right? And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Linda Chin. I thank her so much for chairing the subcommittee on commercialization. So Dr. Chin, to you.
Thank you, David. It's my honor to chair the committee. So the CIT committee, the timeline is summarized here. I think we are looking forward to application from small, medium, and large company. I'm really excited to evaluate ideas that's transformative. And we want to see how, the funding from Lighter Hills Foundation can be leveraged to really bring a novel idea to a more fundable or more advanced stage that will make it more competitive for additional capital, whether it is, investor dollars or other grants. The timeline is May. So May 1st to June 1st is when the applications periods opened. The committee will review during the summer, and as David said, the finalists, after the internal review of the committee, the finals 3 will be sent out for external review, which will be Academy members outside of Texas in area that's related to the applications. And when the recommendation from the external reviewers come back, we'll select the finalists, which will be recommended to the board at THAMIS. And the final approval is made by the THAMIS board director. The recipient will be notified toward the end of the year, in November, and publicly announced. And we would welcome the recipient to be recognized at the annual meeting in February. So that's the timeline. And next, here are some of the past recipients. Some of these companies you may know about. I don't know that we need to go through each one of them unless there are specific questions. Let's go on to the next slide. In terms of the applications, it's a very short application. The proposal is 5 page, but we do want you in the summary statements and the abstract to bring out your innovative idea so that we can sort of quickly evaluate. And I would like to encourage you to think really hard about what David said, the impact. How is your idea translate into human impact in the society? And why this funding of 500,000 would make a difference? What we're looking for is leverage. Can you make an argument that this funding will allow you to achieve deliverable that otherwise would not be able to be accomplished? And having those accomplishment will allow the program to move forward in a way that wouldn't be possible. We don't want to see you to provide a budget justification. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for your argument for leverage. And the more you can bring that out in the abstract, the better. And then the proposal is 5 page. And we do want to see good science, rigorous science, clear execution, and clear deliverables, and the team that can support and give us confidence that you can execute. And of course, always make it very clear how you envision this innovations is going to have human impacts and how long, and then how long would that human impacts be realized, and what the significance of this funding at this stage will allow that to be realized. Next slide. I think I covered this already. Just to reiterate the clear path to commercialization, that's really the articulations of translating your idea into impact. So that's going to be important. Next. So again, I think we also covered this. I'm happy to answer any more specific questions. Keep in mind impact and novelty of the idea, but that novelty had to show a clear path to commercialization, which is, another way of thinking about translating to societal or human impact. Next slide. So I think that's my last slide. Stephanie?
Hey, Linda, I might just jump in real quick.
Sure.
As you were making your remarks, I thought it might be useful to talk about risk for just a minute.
Yes.
With these prizes, we are willing to take some risk. We don't necessarily assume that every single project is going to lead to a successful conclusion. So we have risk tolerance. And when we talk about pathway to commercialization, I think I would add the caveat, assuming the project is successful and everything works out as you hope it might, this would be, the pathway in order to get this out. I wouldn't say we want to take extreme risks where, who knows whether it might work out. I think everybody's done a little bit of foundational work, but I do want to emphasize that we have some risk tolerance with the project, and you might even want to address that risk in your proposal. Linda, I don't know if you have anything you want to add about risk, but I don't want people to leave this thinking, well, gosh, we only fund sure things. That's not true at all.
Absolutely. In fact, that's a great point. David, I think I should make that very clear. When I talked about leverage and why this is such an impactful or big bang for the buck, so to speak, in terms of this award, I'm talking about risk. You should, sort of propose something that is so high risk that you really don't see a path, with more traditional funding mechanism, including investor funding, because we understand how risk averse the, private capital markets is, at least, currently. So what I hope to see is articulation of how this award allow you to do that critical experiment that make a super high risk idea that had huge potential, but actually made it de-risk that idea so that you become competitive with other funding source. And to me, that would be the biggest leverage. That would be the most exciting project, because you show me something is so high risk that no one would fund. But it's such huge potential that if you could just get this experiment done and prove this critical gap that will significantly de-risk the idea, then that is the perfect fit for what this award is intending to do. That translational gap, as David said.
Very well put. Thank you.
Great. Thank you both. We can move into the Q&A. We have a few questions submitted that I will read out. You can answer them. So the first question is asking if project leaders can apply in the commercialization, innovation, and technology category for their company, and also one of the other categories for their academic institution.
I believe yes, but David, you may.
I'm going to pass that to Stephanie. I believe I
Okay.
answer the same thing. I believe yes, but I'll pass that to the TAMIS staff to confirm.
Yes. So as long as there are two completely different proposals, then they can be submitted. But we don't allow the same proposal to be submitted into different categories or more than one proposal per category. Next question is asking if it's permissible under TAMIS Hill Prize guidelines for a project leader to apply while also submitting a similar or related solution to a federal mission-based program where indirect costs are allowed.
Yeah.
I believe so. I think the key thing is, we understand that especially for impactful program, it's going to cost more than what this award will fund. So I think it's important that you're not applying for the dollars, two different sources of dollar to do exactly the same thing, but they absolutely could be in the same program, and then it would be reinforcing and supporting, the program to get to the next milestone.
Yeah, I agree, Linda. And I would add, it's pretty typical for a Hill Prize winner to already have done some work in that field and maybe have some sort of a federal contract for work. We will not ask you in the application for a detailed budget, but we will ask you for a sort of a short paragraph explanation of how you plan to use the budget. And that would be a really great place for you to describe any existing funding you have and to explain why the Hill Prize funding, if it comes to fruition, would be so powerful and so impactful. That really helps the reviewers. We don't want to sort of hold against you that you might already have funding, but if you already do have funding or are applying for funding, just please explain to us how the Hill Prize, just as Linda was saying, can really make a difference, de-risk it, or provide a real shot of adrenaline into your idea.
Thank you. The next question is asking if the awards tend to prefer certain TRL ranges, for example, 4 to 7.
I would say no, because I'm thinking back. I would say it really has to do with whether the idea you're proposing really would benefit from this sort of free money, that allow you to de-risk it. And I'm thinking back some of our past winners where they have a fully established technology that's commercialized, and they're interested in not pivoting, but adapting that technology to a new problem. But the critical experiment to show that the technology is applicable to that new problem is what the application and what the award money ultimately went to support. So that is a fully established technology. So I don't think we necessarily are looking for a certain TRL level of maturity, but just whether the need really support the innovation work, and the high risk nature of the innovation can benefit from an award like this to de-risk it.
Yeah, agreed. And that's one of the great things about working with this tremendous philanthropy, Lyda Hill Philanthropies. They aren't constrained like federal entities are, in certain TRL levels or certain mission constraints. So the only thing I would add is this is not a basic research grant. It's not like a National Science Foundation grant where there's no sort of pathway to commercialization division. That's not it at all. But we have sort of intentionally not constrained this because we want the best ideas. And just as Linda was saying, it could be over a range of TRL levels.
Great. Next question says that they are based in Texas, but they have collaborators in Malta and Poland. Can they be included as team members?
Yes.
I believe, yes.
Yeah, absolutely right. What we would not want to see is sort of a shadow Texas proposal where, let's say, a Texas entity wins and 20% of the money goes to them and they subcontract with someone in another state or multiple entities and most of the money goes elsewhere. We really want it to be Texas based, but absolutely yes. If somebody in any part of the world is the perfect collaborator for your project, yes.
Next question is asking if the formation of an industry consortium led by industry person and employing university resources satisfy the CIT requirements.
Yes,
Yes.
we have seen applications like that. Mhm.
And I expect a lot of the applications are like that, Linda. I'm thinking back to the past winners. Most, if not all of them, subcontracted with a university, I believe. That's very typical. So,
Yeah, I
and
think
logical too. So, for example, if it's a university industry collaboration and most of the work is being done, let's say in engineering by the university, then the application really belongs in the engineering category with the university as the lead. But if the private sector is doing the majority of the work, the private company, then the CIT award, this one that we're discussing today, is the place for it to be with a sub-award to the university or health science center.
yes.
Thank you.
And by the way, the Lyda Hill Philanthropies doesn't do the sub-award. Lyda Hill will make one contract with the lead organization, then it's up to the lead to do all the subcontracting.
Thank you for that. The next question is saying that they have to carry out some critical proof of concept experiments to de-risk the science. Can the funding be used for that?
The answer is yes, but I presume the question is being asked because the science may be more basic concept, which I still believe fall into this award. There are basic science, there are translational gap that represents significant risks along the commercialization path. So as long as that's clear and the value of that experiment or proof of concept in the big scheme, I think that's that to me fit the qualification for this award.
Yeah, and then we have one more question. So if anyone else has questions, please go ahead and type them in the Q&A box while we're answering this one. The question asks if you can confirm what type of companies and organizations are excluded from applying to this award, just those in the public sector, which are government funded.
I mean, David, we say any company, large, small, can qualify. I think public sector means government funded. I have not come. I mean, David, I'm going to defer to you to comment on this one. I'm not sure.
I'm not quite sure I understand the question, but I would say any for-profit or not-for-profit company based in Texas may apply for this award.
Yeah.
May not apply. A company in a state outside Texas as the lead organization may not apply. They need to be a Texas-based company. Now, I think that, let's say the company has locations in many states. I would expect that the applicant would be the team in Texas with the work mostly done in Texas. And keep in mind, we have some flexibility here, but the spirit is that this is TAMIST is an organization to promote greatness in the state of Texas, so that's where we want the primary focus to be. It could not be an FFRDC, let's say a federal lab or something like that. But of course, let's take Southwest Research Institute as an example, Stephanie. That is a private entity that receives a lot of both federal and private money. I would assume they could apply as well.
They have.
I would say
applied.
if you're in doubt, the TAMIST staff would be glad to talk to you about your eligibility. Just communicate with them, right, Stephanie, and we can sort out any very specific and very particular question just with a one-on-one conversation.
Yes, and I'll just add it is not open to government agencies, but it is open to those nonprofit research institutes and government spin-out companies and academic spin-out companies, university spin-out companies. Well, that seems to be the last question. If anybody has an additional one, feel free to raise your hand or add it in the Q&A at this time. And question asked if the recording is available. Yes, the recording and the slides will be sent out to all registrants and will also be on the TAMIST website.
And I would just reinforce that there are certain exploding ecosystem of entrepreneurship in Texas, and we hope that many of this company would apply. And if you have a project in your company that you think would benefit from sort of high value, low, capital that allow you to de-risk it, send in the applications and also share among your networks and friends that you think they have an idea or a project in their company that will benefit from this kind of support. We hope to see many applications coming from Texas as company are built here.
Thank you. We don't have any more questions, so we will move on to the next slide. So thank you all for attending today. Thank you, Dr. Daniel, Dr. Chin, for leading the session. We hope you found the information helpful in preparing an application for the 2027 Hill Prizes. Like I mentioned, video and slides of today's session will be posted on the website and included in a follow-up email. We would also like to invite you all to join us in February for our 2027 TAMIST Annual Conference. The theme is Frontiers of Discovery. It'll take place February 1st through 3rd, 2027 in Houston, Texas. And the 2027 Hill Prize recipients will be recognized at a prize ceremony at the opening reception on Monday, February 1st. We also want to thank our 2026 annual conference presenting sponsors, Briar Capital and Lyda Hill Philanthropies, for their support of TAMIST. And with that, we will conclude. Prize submission form will open on May 1st, and the deadline is 6 o'clock on Monday, June 1st. If you have any questions or need any further information, please feel free to contact us. With that, we will end the session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.